Hello there, hello there, hello there. Welcome back to the Agostino Zinga Show with your host, Agostino Zinga, and this is episode number 965. Not 956, this episode number 965 of the Agostino Zinga Show, coming at you live and direct from an undisclosed location, somewhere in the depths of East London. How you doing? How you feeling? How you doing? How you feeling? Great. Good to hear. Good to hear. How have I been? I've been better, man. I've been better. I'm on the mend. I'm getting where I need to get to. But it's been a harrowing and quite frightening last couple of weeks for the old boy, you know? For some reason, I don't know why, mostly due to, I think I know why. It's mostly going to be user error when I detail what happened. But it's been a pretty harrowing few weeks for me. I've kind of felt like I've had back-to-back illnesses, back-to-back sicknesses, and it's been kind of up and down, you know what I mean, for my immune system. I'm not going to lie. There have been moments where I felt like I was on death's door. Most of it was greatly over-exaggerated. As you guys know, men, myself included, have a low pain threshold. We have a low tolerance for any type of viruses, any type of flus, any type of sicknesses, diseases, whatever. We don't seem to handle it too well. So it kicked me in the nuts, and it nearly sent me to the cemetery. I'm not gonna lie. There was a moment a few weeks ago where I was thinking to myself, you know what? I might need to launch a GoFundMe for myself, you know. I was thinking to myself, I'm sure this hasn't happened before in the past. I'm sure this might be the first time in history. But I was thinking I might have to be the first person in the history of the world to pre-launch a GoFundMe for a funeral. That hasn't happened yet, but I know it's going to happen, you know? I was legitimately that close to pre-launching my own, going fucking pre-order crazy, right? Going on some pre-order craziness on my own fucking funeral because I was feeling so fucking bad. But I'm glad that hasn't happened. I'm glad it didn't happen. I'm glad that will not happen in the future. Amen. Hallelujah. But yeah, it was looking kind of peak for me out there. I'm not going to lie. It was looking kind of peak for me. Number one, it was looking kind of peak for me because I've just told you before, I had that issue with my gums, had that issue with my teeth, especially with one of the bottom ones where I was having some issues with a root canal. And I'm assuming they might have played a role in the eventual sickness that I did end up getting later on because my immune system was a bit down, my defenses were a bit down, and then obviously with it being fucking, you know, winter season, flu season, it kind of hit me straight in the absolute abdominal. And yeah, I've been fucking back on the mend since. This is the first week, I think, where I've not been feeling shivers, I've not been feeling super cold, I've not had a crazy flu and shit, which has been great. And it's the first time I've been able to obviously get in front of the mic and come back and present and be here and talk to you guys and shit. Because before that, I was feeling like the last thing I wanted to do was be alive, let alone stand in front of a mic or sit in front of a mic, whatever. But I'm on a mend now, feeling a lot better. And yeah, man, kind of wild just how incapable I am of bouncing back quickly off of sicknesses. I think in the past, I remember what we used to do, and that, honestly, it was such a bad idea back in the day. I don't know if my brothers used to do it, but hope they don't. But I remember back in the day when we'd get colds and stuff and flu. I don't know. I think it was kind of like it felt like a test to ourselves. I don't know why. We were kind of a toxic household where, or you know, me and brothers must be the most toxic ones there. Where if we got a cold or we felt bad, we would go out of our way. Yeah, imagine this. We would go out of our way to go run. We'd go out of our way to go work out. We'd go out of our way to play football. Whatever we're going to go do, we'd do it anyway, as a way to kind of like push through. And then in the end, it'd make us obviously way worse. You know, you could obviously push through. Adrenaline will make you do stupid things. Adrenaline will make you do crazy things. Let's say not stupid things, crazy things. But the day after, you're definitely going to feel it. So I remember quite routinely, every time me and my brothers would get some sort of, you know, sickness or whatever, or flu or virus, the next day, obviously after we pushed through and we went and did the training, we went to the gym, we did whatever we need to do, the next day we'd pay the ultimate price. The next day we'd be heaving, coughing, you know, spitting, shaking all over the flipping gaff. So it's really not worth it. But I used to do that, and I'm not gonna lie, even though it wasn't worth it, even though it probably was very destructive, negative, and had probably no positive aspects of it whatsoever, I enjoyed it anyway. But nowadays I can't even try and do that. I can't even pretend to try and do that. You know what I mean? It's not gonna work. I don't even think I could probably do like 5 air squats sometimes if I'm feeling bad. I'm just so lazy. I'm so tired. I'm so lethargic. I'm so just like meh. I just can't move. But I think lazy is not the right word to use because it makes it seem like I'm doing it, and I'm not trying to, whatever. But still, I just find that really interesting, that kind of contrast. I also find it interesting, just how quickly and brutally illnesses take me out now. Or just in men in general, it's just our inability to like toughen up, our inability to hack any type of virus is really fucking hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. That's why people term it as man flu, right? Because the man flu is true. The man flu is something else. But I am a little bit pleased to know that it wasn't just me that was going through this. I'm not gonna lie, I do get some pleasure out of knowing that others are also suffering, because look what I saw online. It says the new flu virus mutation could see the worst season in a decade. So whatever has been flown around now that I got the last couple of weeks, has been putting me on my ass, was the worst flu ever. Mutation levels allegedly was the worst mutation of the flu, allegedly. Who knows? Let's read the article. It says flu strikes every winter, but this year something seems to be different. A seasonal virus suddenly mutated in the summer, and it appears to evade some of our immunity, has kickstarted a flu season more than a month early, and it's a type of flu that history suggests is more severe. NHS has now issued a flu jab SOS as fears grow that it will add to the brutal winter. Okay, that makes sense, because on the first day or the second day, I think that I was ill, maybe the first or second day, don't know which one it was, I did receive a text from NHS basically saying, yeah, flu jabs are now available. If you want a free flu jab, call your GP and arrange a time and you can get a jab, basically. I thought that was oddly, the timing was odd, because legitimately I was in the bed that day like shivering. Like honestly, that was the worst part of the flu that I just had. I'm not gonna lie, that cold, that fever I just had for the past week, that was the worst part of it. The worst part of it wasn't even that I couldn't eat properly, wasn't that I couldn't really sleep properly. It was the pain of like not being warm enough, or always feeling cold. Like no matter how many layers I put on, like I'd wear an entire pajama tracksuit. I tuck my socks into I tuck my pants into my socks. I put my hood up. I'd wear a hood or something, right? If it's a long sleeve, I'd wear like a zip up hood and put my hood up. I'd be under my duvet and I would be wrapped up warm. The heating would be, and I could not get warm. I could not get hot. And then there'll be moments, obviously, where I would get a little bit hot, but then I would just boil over, and I'd be sweating all over. And then I'd want to get some fresh air, and I'd kind of, lift up the flipping duvet, or I'd fucking, have the duvet split half my body. And then guess what? Then that would make me cold again. It was like a never-ending cycle, and that was the worst part of it. It was the worst part because it felt like it wouldn't end. And then obviously I would get a little bit of vertigo as well. So when I was lying down for long periods of time, if I stood up too quickly, I'd start getting vertigo. Like, oh my god, honestly, I don't wish it on anybody. I don't wish this on fucking anybody. I hope everybody, yes, listen to the sound of my voice now, you're immune. I hope you have all the flipping remedies and whatever needed. I hope you avoid anybody that has any of this fucking virus and you don't catch it, because if you do, this shit is brutal, bro. It will put you on your ass, I swear to god. It continues. There's a lot of nuance and uncertainty, but leading flu experts have told me they would not be shocked if this was the worst flu season of a decade. We haven't seen a virus like this in a while. These dynamics are unusual, says Professor Nicola Lewis, the director of the World Influenza Center at the Francis Crick Institute. It does concern me, absolutely. I'm not panicking, but I'm worried. So what's going on? Scientists track an evolution of influenza viruses because they mutate constantly, and the seasonal flu vaccine has to be updated each year to keep up. This evolution happens in a rhythm known as a shift and drift. Most of the time the virus drifts along, making minor changes, and then every so often there's a sudden abrupt shift and the virus mutates substantially. That happened in June last year. 7 mutations appeared in a strain of H3N2 seasonal flu, led to a fast increase in reports of a mutated virus, says Professor Derek Smith, and director of the Pattern of Pathogen Evolution at the University of Cambridge. Unusually, this happened outside of flu season in the middle of the Northern Hemisphere summer. He says it's almost certainly will sweep the world. So far from that standpoint, this guy's negative, isn't it? About it's always gonna sweep the world. Why are you saying that for? It's gonna sweep the world. Be ready, you're gonna die. It's gonna be something that will come up quickly to Professor Smith. By September, as children went back to school, the night drew in, and the temperature started to drop. There was an uptick in cases. Actually, what the mutations are doing is being explored, but they're probably helping the virus to evade some of the immunity we have built up over the years for flu infections and vaccines. The result is the virus is finding it easier to infect people and spread, and that is why the flu season is so early in the UK and other countries, including Japan. God damn, bro. Percentage of positive flu tests in England, 7-day rolling average. Yeah, it's super high already now, isn't it? Look at that, over 10%, and we're not even. Okay. It was, if the virus can spread more easily, then it does not have to wait more for favorable winter conditions, when it can spend more time indoors with the heating and the windows shut to start the flu season. The quote, "We're miles ahead," says Prof. "I think it's going to be a strong flu season," he says. "If you remember your R numbers from the pandemic, that's the number of people each affected person passes the virus onto. They suggest a new mutation has an edge. Seasonal flu usually has an R number of around 1.2, while the early estimates of the year is 1.4, said Professor Lewis. So very roughly, if 100 people had flu, they would pass it on to 120 in a typical year and 140 this year. It's likely going to be the bad flu season, and it's going to happen quite soon. We're really well into it," says Professor Christoph Fraser from the Pandemic Sciences Institute of University of Oxford. "There are indicators that this could be the worst in some of the flu seasons we've seen in the last 10 years. In a typical flu season, around 1 in 5 of us get infected, but that could be higher this year," he warns. But all the predictions are still clouded in uncertainty. Some look to Australia for clues, as it had the worst flu season on record this year, although it did not face the same mutated H3N2 we have. "We know the virus is spreading very well in children in the germ fest, that is the school playground, but the immunity a 10-year-old can develop will be different from their grandparents, whose immune defenses have been shaped by 6 times as many flu seasons. So experts will be watching closely as the virus starts to infect older age groups in the coming weeks," aka me. "History suggests that the form of influenza we're facing this year is more severe. There's multiple types of flu, and you may have heard some of the names, such as H1N1 swine flu, which caused pandemic in 2009, and H5N1, the current flu killing birds around the world. The fresh mutations have happened in groups of H3N2 influenzas." The quotes here says, "H3 is always a hotter virus. It's a nastier virus. It's more impactful in the population," to Professor Lewis. "It's worth remembering that some of us will get the flu and develop no symptoms at all, while others will get a sudden fever, body aches and exhaustion." That's what I got. I was very unlucky. That's what I fucking got. "But the virus can be deadly in older and more vulnerable groups. Last year, nearly 8,000 people died from flu." Okay, see, it's not to be joked about, bro. 8,000 people died from flu. I'm assuming they weren't all old, right? In 2022 to 2023 flu season, there were nearly 16,000 deaths. The NHS is already anticipating a tough flu season. So what can we do? The clear advice is to get your seasonal flu vaccine. No more. By the way, I'm done. I've already got COVID vaccine. I'm done with the fucking vaccines. No more fucking vaccines. We're out. We're done with the fucking vaccines. We're drawing a line under the vaccines thing. I'm fucking over it. Enough. I have a feeling as well, part of the reason why I even got the fucking horrible flu this season has to be in part due to my lack of going out. You know, I'm not as outdoors or as social as I used to be, and, you know, touching people and all that malarkey. And I think that really was an important part of my ability to not be ill. Because if I think back to my heyday of going out, I can't think of many times where I didn't go out because I had a cold or I was feeling ill. You know, there was, and even though I was around a lot of people, I was swapping a lot of saliva. I was, you know, swapping other bodily fluids. I mean, just I was doing a lot out there, and I rarely got ill. So if I got ill now, because and also I forgot to mention that weekend, past weekend, I went to Fold, didn't I? Went to Fold for the 15th anniversary of Neighborhood, and the first night I kind of leave my house properly to go out, I then happened to catch this horrendous flu that has me sitting down for the best part of a week. It's no surprise. I think my immune system is horrendous right now. If I had to guess, I think my immune system is so fucking weak, so fucking bad, because of my lack of going out and putting myself in and around other people and shit. I'm assuming also working from home doesn't help, you know. If you're in an office-based environment, there's always somebody sick, always somebody coughing. I mean, it helps to build your immune systems, I feel like, or defenses at least, and I don't necessarily have that. I live in a pretty clean environment. I take care of myself, but, you know, I'm just on my own kind of thing, so I need to be around other people to allow myself not to be, you know, strucken down by these fucking flus all the time, because this is horrendous. Like, I hate being ill. I detest being ill. I hate lying on my back the entire time, you know, unless, you know, somebody's blowing my back open or something, fair enough, but like, I hate just lying on my back. So it's been hard. My life has been tough. My life has been fucking hard. Let's say here, Professor Lewis argues that it's absolutely the most important year to get vaccinated, and that if you have called your GP, please get your flu vaccine. Yeah, fuck all that shit. However, this year's vaccine is not the perfect match for the mutated virus. The decision on the design of the vaccine was made in February to give enough time to produce the millions of doses necessary, and then the new mutation emerged in June. Fucking hell. So the vaccine we have now for the flu isn't even the one that is just... I know it's harder to do than what it looks like, but Jesus Christ, guys, how you gonna try and push out a fucking vaccine for a flu that isn't even the worst mutation one? It's like, come on, guy, what are you pumping people with then? Anyway, some protection is better than no protection. Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's better to wear rubber with a hole in it than to wear no rubber at all in it, I guess some would say. But hey, some protection is better than no protection, but this year is likely to be one of the years where the amount of protection is less than it is in years when this match is better. It is not an ideal situation. You can tell me that again, mate, Professor Fraser. The vaccine will still trigger the body to produce antibodies that can recognize and stick to the flu. But the biggest benefits are anticipated to be in the lessening the severity of the disease rather than stopping getting ill. Okay, slowing the spread. That's better. I wouldn't mind that, because what I had, man, that legitimately had me thinking thoughts. Like, and that's been a while since I've had that kind of, you know, when you have that kind of virus where you start thinking thoughts like, I don't want to be here anymore, you know. I was on one of those type of things, you know what I mean? I was on my I don't want to be here anymore type of thing. Because that virus was kicking my ass so thoroughly. So yeah, I would be, if I did get the vaccine, I'd be down with that. That's actually a good thing. Like, hey, let's stop the symptoms or the severity of the symptoms, and let's just, you know, let's just hold it a bit. The flu vaccine protects against multiple strains of flu, each of which has a potential to cause its own waves of infection. The quote says here, whatever strains do circulate here this winter, we can be confident that the vaccine will still help give some protection to those most vulnerable from developing the serious illnesses. Meanwhile, doctors have been sent the advice reminding them that early antiviral treatment reduces the risk of complications. Japan is also going through an early flu season and has closed schools to help contain the outbreaks. Oof, that's a fun time, isn't it? Imagine being in school and your school's closed down because of flu season. One thing during COVID, but just randomly because of flu season, like, you are loving it. Your parents are not, but you're fucking... Imagine being in school, like in primary school, and school gets locked off because of flus. You so happy. There's not COVID style lockdowns, but short-term measures in the country used to cause disturbed or not used in the country. These are not COVID-style lockdowns, but short-term measures the country uses to disrupt the spread of the virus. Nobody knows for certain what will happen in the coming months. It might all go away by next week, says Professor Lewis, but I don't think it will. Yeah, that's something that's really interesting, and that you always find. This is a random observation, a random thing to just keep an eye on and consider. Don't you find it interesting that professors, people with actual expertise in their field, are always very cautious to speak in like finalities or generalities, right? They're very, very cautious to speak like with any level of certainty. They're always very cautious, like, you know, they're always kind of giving you things, you know, trying to play both sides, trying to give you a nuanced point of view, add conditions, always, you know, end things with I'm not sure, I don't think so, hopefully, we will see, best foot, you know what I mean? They're always very cautious. But these people online who are like autodidacts, right, who kind of like, you know, self-taught people who maybe look into biology, who might look into some sort of, you know, field when it comes to diseases or whatever else it may be, any type of health sciences, they always seem to be very sure. They're always very, very, very sure. They have no knowledge, or they have no like educational background, right? No real expertise apart from watching YouTube videos and, you know, reading papers that we all have access to online and, you know, on PDFs and paper, you know, whatever. But they seem to be very, very sure that what they're saying is right. But you go to an actual scientist, you know, who studied this shit, who lives this shit, who works in this field, peer reviewed, all this malarkey, and they're very, very hesitant to give you any type of final conclusion. Like this will be this and that will be that. It's always like there are conditions, you know, there are this, there's context, there's this, there's this. I find that interesting, and I think, I don't know, if it was up to me and I heard my expert of choice, or no, I had an expert I listened to, and they were talking in grandiose terms with near clear, for them everything was clear, all their predictions were on point and they could never be swayed on it. It made me look at them a bit funny. Like, so what, you could never be wrong. There's never room for you to maneuver. There's never space for maybe you to be called out, for you to be proven wrong. You know, I just find that very interesting. But anyway, that was what I was suffering from. So if you guys are wondering where the hell I was these last few days, that was the reason why. New flu mutation could see the worst season in a decade, and I think I might have caught it. I think I might have caught that new flu mutation, and that was what has had me on my ass for the last week or so. It had me knocking on death's door, so much I was considering starting my own GoFundMe for my funeral cost, but luckily we didn't have to go that far. Luckily we didn't have to go that far. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. During the time that I was out on my ass, I did watch a lot of TV. And some of it I watched with like, you know, with my full attention. Some of it I watched in between moans and groans. But one thing I did watch with some level of like concentration and focus was this show called All Her Fault, because I watched this towards the end of my sickness, because I think it just came out recently. So towards the end of my viral journey, towards the end of my man flu diagnosis, I was watching this series called All Her Fault. It's on Peacock. It's really good. Let's take it back. It's really entertaining watch. It's a really because I say really good, and so motherfuckers watch it and you see what it's like, you might kind of laugh at me. So I'm not gonna go ahead and say it's really good, but it's a really entertaining watch. Well, now the premise of the story, it features the lady on the left. I don't know what her name is. Please forgive me. She was in the show with the family, that the fucking Money Family, whatever the fucking show that was called. But anyway, there's a lady in this show whose kid goes missing. Essentially, that's what happens, right? It's a rich lady, her child goes missing, and the story basically unfolds in terms of trying to tell, you know, basically tells the story of whether or not that kid comes back to her, and who, or whether or not who's responsible for what, if it happened, da 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 da. So it's a really interesting way of telling the story, because the woman obviously she comes from an affluent background. So at first you're sitting there watching the show thinking to yourself, why would I care about this, right? Why would I care about some rich lady's kid going missing? You know, like in like a rich neighborhood, who gives a fuck, right? You're not going to be too empathetic to her plight. But then as the series kind of plays out, you start to see that they did a really good job of basically trying to show you that, oh, everyone has their problems, everyone has their issues, life is hard for everybody in their own kind of way, right? They have very unique set of problems, maybe that aren't that, you know, maybe a little bit foreign to maybe how you live your life, but the problems are still the problems, whether it's love, life, marriage, relationships, identity, whatever, all this stuff, right? Interpersonal, you know, whatever stuff they have going on. So I think they did a really good job of laying that out, and I actually enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie, I think everybody in it did a superb job. Everybody did a superb job in conveying what they did. And in the end, because I'm gonna give you I'm not going to say too much about it, because I think you should just go into a bit blind. But I think in the end, what I really did like about this show is that it really played with the idea of like, all you have is family. You know, that whole line that people say, which I always think is very, was it problematic, but it's kind of, is it problematic? Problematic is probably the right word to say. I always think when people say things like, oh, all you have is your family, it kind of is a bit problematic, because it's like, how about if you have a terrible family though? How about people who are born with no family? Then what they're meant to do? I get some people say the term family doesn't necessarily always have to denote to your biological blood relatives, but for the most part, that's what people say, right? They're like, oh, it doesn't matter what your family does, you just always have to turn the other cheek, always have to forgive, always have to fucking, you know what I mean, be okay with it, because you only get one family, Well, I'm sure there's some sort of, you know, there's some logic, there's some weight, there's some value to that sort of you know, worldview or opinion. I think what this show does well is that it questions that. Okay, cool, all you have your family, but what if your family are awful? You know, what if the people that you actually are tied to, linked to by blood or whatever, and you have no other option to kind of not be with them? What about if they're the worst people? What about if you could choose who your family is, and the people that you choose to be your family actually end up being the better version of whatever conventional family would be, you know? And I think that they do a good job of showing that in this series. And again, I hope I'm not spoiling too much with what I'm saying right now. I think I am, but hopefully I'm not. But I recommend you check it out. It's really fucking good. The show is called All Her Fault, and like I said, the general premise is the woman's the woman's son goes missing. And it just it kind of unravels over, I think, is it like 10 episodes, 12 episodes, I forgot how much it is, and you kind of get a snapshot on how she tries to get family back, if she can get a family back, what relationships are broken during that process, the secrets that kind of come to the surface, and all this up, and twists and turns. The twist at the end as well, I think, is pretty decent. Not gonna lie, the twist at the end I think is pretty decent. I wasn't expecting that. Don't laugh at me if I was expecting it. I was a little bit worse for wear. I was suffering from a man flu, but I really didn't expect the twist at the end. So I recommend you check it out. It's called All Her Fault. It's available on Peacock. It's available on Blood Clot Peacock. Big up everybody in the stream chat. What you guys saying? Big up on 10 Toes. Chair Company is good. Yeah, I've got Chair Company actually. Big up on 10 Toes for sharing that. I've got it downloaded. I don't even know what it's about. I think I just downloaded it randomly. I'm pretty sure I've got that on my thing. I'm pretty sure I've got that downloaded. Big up on Toes. I listened to a few old posts before I was a fan, and being gone through it for years. Sheesh, bro. Glad you're better. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you. Big up Young Old Vibes. Flumo takes every season. Yep. And big up Jordan Ray too. I see you. And big up Young Old Vibes. Could be Zinger Smollett. It's fucking hilarious. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Whilst I was gone, another really strange thing happened too. Another really strange thing happened where Academics posted out of nowhere on his Twitter, I think he put it on Instagram too. He said that Ye wanted to share this with y'all, and it's a clip of Ye going to meet a Jewish rabbi, and essentially this meeting was an effort for Ye to try to make amends for all of the horrible things he said about Jewish people. It's all horrible things he said about Jewish people over the last few years. It felt like he's been on a non-stop hate campaign against the Jews, and it feels like he has it seems like now, based on this video, he's decided that he wants to no longer be an enemy of the Jews, and this is why he shared this video with academics. Now it's hard to take this video somewhat serious because, you know, I think at this stage of his career and life, he's probably suffering a lot for the things that he said. He's probably been blacklisted from a lot of things. I'm sure banking probably isn't easy, touring isn't easy, living isn't easy, traveling around the world isn't easy. You know, there probably, you know, loads of annoying inconveniences have been placed along his way because of his very staunch, very aggressive, very hate-ridden, I'd say, opinion on the Jewish people in general. That's not to say he hasn't had bad experiences with the Jews. We know fairly, you know, obviously he's probably going to have them, especially being involved in the fucking music industry, but it's still no excuse for some of the stuff he said over the fucking years. It's just been unnecessarily cruel, unnecessarily mean, nearly to the point of evil. I'm not going to lie, how much he's been going in on Jews and the things that he's been saying in general, just been super upsetting. And even as a fan, you're like, Jesus Christ, man, like, really? Like, do you need to do all this? And, you know, with Ye, the more you question that, the more you question whether you need to do it, the more he sees that as you telling him what to do, which isn't really what it is, but hey, and he kind of doubles, triples down and goes even extra hard. So he's been, you know, really laying it on thick. And my cynical point of view would be that this is only happening because maybe something is happening in the background that's really fucking with his ability to, like, move around, live his life, make money, make clothes, put out music. I don't know, something's happened behind the scene that's really fucking him over, and he wants to make a public show that he's sorry for what he has done, so that he can be accepted back into the wider society or general public, so that he can do what he needs to do. I think so. I don't think this has come from him having a come to Jesus moment. I don't think he had some sort of awakening and realized, oh shit, Jewish people aren't all that bad. I still think he has those opinions. And again, this is me being a fan. I know my guy. I still think he has those opinions he has. And I just think he's doing this because something's happened behind the scenes and he wants to get his money right again. I know I'm being overly cynical and somewhat black-pilled on this, but I don't think this is coming from an honest place. Let me just say that.
I feel really blessed to be able to sit here with you today and just take accountability.
Oh yeah, and in case you're wondering why Ye sounds so weird, he removed his grills. He took off his titanium grills. Well, he looks really good, to be fair. He looks probably in the best shape he's ever been in a fucking long time. He looks really fucking good. But he's also removed these grills, so he's got a weird little lisp thing going on. His mouth kind of sounds a bit strange. But I think people say that when you wear grills a lot, like permanently, you take them off, it takes a while for your mouth to, you know, get adjusted to the new phenomenon, the new feeling in your mouth and whatnot.
I was dealing with some various issues, dealing with bipolar also. So it would take the ideas I had and have me take them to an extreme where I would forget about the protection of the people around me and myself. So I wanted to come and take accountability. Sometimes people aren't that knowledgeable about the bipolar and the cause or what causes it and the way you act when you have this disease. So it's like if you left the house and you left your kid at the house and your kid went and messed up the kitchen and messed up the garage and messed up the living room. Now when you get back, it's your responsibility because that's your child. And that's the way I look at it. It's like I gotta go clean up the kitchen, I gotta clean up the living room, I gotta clean up the garage. Yeah, and it's a big deal for me as a man to come and take accountability for all the things that I've said. And I really just appreciate you embracing me with open arms and allowing me to make amends. And this is the beginning and the first steps and the first brick by brick to build back the strong walls.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Just go do the work, man. Just go do the work privately on your own. Take your medication. I don't know if he is taking medication. I don't know if he is seeing somebody. I don't know. Just go get the help you need to get done, because this feels like a never-ending journey, never-ending situation, never-ending drama with this guy, man. Like, he's clearly mentally unwell. We all know this. Like, he knows this, right? It's not fucking, you know what I mean? It's obvious to see, obvious to hear, obvious to know. Just go get the help you need to go get it dealt with. I know he's spoken a lot about not liking the medication and how it makes you put on weight and maybe dumb some of his creative sort of like sparks and outlets and shit. But at this stage, especially, forget the fans, right? Forget people like me. At this stage, you should probably be thinking about his kids, innit? Really and truly, you should probably be thinking about making sure that you're in the best possible condition, mentally, physically, to look after your kids, to be there for your kids while they're young, while you still can. Because there might come a point where you can't anymore, because he's also getting up there in age, isn't it? He's not 50 yet, but he's near. I think he's probably near 50. This is a big ass man. Like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. And I also kind of this is again maybe more of a personal thing, but I also really despise this like assertion. Maybe it's just me projecting again. But I really do despise the assertion that I should be congratulating him for this. You know? I should be giving him a pat on the back for this. Like, gold star. It's like, brother, you're a grown-ass man. You know what I mean? Like, we've all got our problems. We've all got our issues that we're going through. No one gives us pats on the back for doing the bare minimum, you know? Like, you shouldn't be expecting that as a grown-ass person, for people to be congratulating you for looking after yourself, congratulating you for getting the help that you need so you can be a worthwhile parent, a worthwhile, you know, person to your fucking children, to your family, to your loved ones. It's like, come on. I don't know. I don't like that shit. But again, a part of me, because I'm one of his fucking biggest fans, I love the fact that he's getting the help and he's trying to get better. Because ultimately, if you're a fan of what he does, a better version of him, mentally or physically, whatever, is going to give us a better version of his art. Because, you know, he's already crossed the fucking insanity barrier or line. We've seen we've seen what that's given us. Now let's see what he looks like and sounds like with some light behind his eyes, with maybe not everybody around the world hating him and shit. That might actually help. But yeah, was out here asking the Jewish community for forgiveness, but you know, I saw somebody else mentioning it online as well. I thought maybe it's not, it's a bit of a reach, but it's interesting, isn't it? He's quick to ask for forgiveness for, you know, from the Jews, but you're not gonna see him do this with the quote unquote black community, you know, because he knows. I think deep down he knows he's got us by the palm of his hands. You know what I mean? No matter what he does, no matter how much he disappoints us, we're never gonna abandon him, because the guy made Jesus walks. You know what I mean? Let's be real. He made Jesus walks. You know what I mean? No one's ever going to abandon the black community overall. He made fucking my dark twisted black fantasy. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, my dark twisted black fantasy. Sorry. I don't know, man. I want him to get the help that he needs to get, but I just don't like all this performative stuff. This performative stuff is fucking annoying. I just hate it. If you need to get the work done, do it privately, especially at this stage too. It's like, we don't need to see this. If this was maybe Kanye 20 years ago, fair enough, but I think now we're just all exhausted. I know I am anyway. I'm exhausted of trying to or having to defend this guy on social media. I'm exhausted and just over it when it comes to just lowing about his, you know, mental state, his fucking his diagnosis at the moment. I'm just fed up of having to know and be forced to know about his relationship with his kids and his baby mom and his, I just don't care. Just get the work done, get the help that you need to get done so you can get back to work if you want to get back to work. If you don't want to get back to work and just be a family man, all well, all good. But I don't know, man. Leave us alone a bit, innit? I don't know. Leave us alone. You know? Leave us alone until you're kind of like back to good, back and healthy. Leave us alone. But then he's obviously not going to leave us alone, because as soon as he did that, look where he was at. And this is what making me feel like this is all one cynical play. As soon as he sat down with that rabbi to plead for the Jewish community for forgiveness, he was back out on tour, or back out doing a live show with Ye in Tokyo. I think it was somewhere in Tokyo. I'm pretty sure it was Tokyo. So he was performing out there in Tokyo with Travis Scott. I'll show you a picture of him that someone took from the screen. It looks pretty sick, right? So he was out there doing his thing. There's Travis Scott down the right. There's Ye down on the left. And there's a post somebody made of like all the songs that he performed. Look at the set list, by the way. And for me, this felt on purpose. This felt like he did this as a way to kind of pull at our heartstrings, because he knows we love these tracks. He rarely performs them anyway. But it said here, Ye's set list after Travis Scott brought him out as a surprise guest at the Circus Maximus Tokyo tour. He performed Runaway, Praise God, Can't Tell Me Nothing, Heartless, Flashing Lights, Stronger, Father Stretch My Hands, Through the Wire, Carnival, and All of the Lights. Fucking phenomenal set list, by the way, right? Like, I know Jay-Z thinks there's no one that can defeat him in the verses, but I think Ye would give Jay-Z a run for his money. I think Ye would give a lot of people a run for their money, because people forget it. Ye's discography is kind of lethal. Imagine that on the verses, bro. Runaway, Praise God, Can't Tell Me Nothing, Heartless, Flashing Lights, Stronger, Father Stretch My Hands, Through the Wire, Carnival, and All of the Lights. Eesh. Too much. So yeah, there's them performing, Ye and Travis Scott performing All the Lights in Tokyo, Japan. I'm not gonna play any of the audio. I don't want to get fucking copyright strike. You know how it is. Them hugging, Ye looking kind of sinister and funny in that all new Yeezy season 10. I think this is all new Yeezy season 10. That jacket's actually available at the moment, but it's not this particular material. That material that he's wearing looks like it might be leather, but the one on the website is made out of nylon. I think it comes in 3 colors, like grey, black, and a camo, I think. But it's a really cool, short, just kind of comes over the hip line, sort of like a parka. And what do you call it? M3? I think it's like an M3B parka with like the fur hood. It's a really nice jacket, actually. He's also wearing he's also wearing leather pants from season 10. And some shoes too that I haven't seen yet. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I've ever seen these shoes. At first I thought he was wearing those shoes by that kid who wears Converses. I forgot his name. I think it's Shire or something. Shire. I think he's got a pair of shoes that he wears that looks similar to these, but I don't should go to them. And yeah, there's a couple more pictures of him too, wearing a mask. What else is it? Yeah, there you see him with his mask on as well. Typical Ye. And he took it off actually, and the crowd went kind of crazy when you removed the mask. I'm not gonna lie. So big up Ye for that one. But yeah, I don't know. Was it sincere what he said? Was it actually sincere? Did he actually want to, ask for forgiveness, or was this all one big play? Because he wants, this is probably the first major person I think he's been on stage with, isn't it? Since all the fucking anti-Jewish stuff he's been, throwing out there. I think this is the first major artist he's been on stage with. Most major artists have obviously distanced themselves from him, but I think this might be the biggest one he's been on stage with. If I'm not mistaken, I could be mistaken, but I think Travis Scott might be the biggest one, especially of the recent times, because a lot of these guys publicly denounced him and stuff, and started flowing slick little subtweets and whatever and bullets. But yeah, here he is, on stage with Travis after asking forgiveness from the Jewish community. What can you do? Talking about forgiveness, I saw these series of tweets via some people on fucking Twitter, and it got me thinking in general as to this current, this current discord around Anthony Bourdain. If you're not aware, or if you're not on Twitter as much as I am, there has been a lot of negative anti-Bourdain rhetoric out there. Most of it, if I can kind of generalize it all, most of it comes down to the fact that people didn't think Anthony Bourdain, now looking back at it, was as cool as people thought was as cool as people make him seem to be. And basically they say his death kind of like cast a dark shadow over his legacy and what he did and the circumstances around it. In so that obviously we all know he unalived himself, but the person he was dating at the time was involved in some very dodgy things involving like PDF shit and stuff. She was a bit of a horrible person. She may or may not have, I think if I'm not mistaken, wrongly accused somebody of doing something to her. I don't know. She was a bit of a horrible person. And essentially a lot of people are saying that Bourdain kind of like, you know, gave some of the last few years of him being alive, he kind of gave to this lady. He went out of his way to defend her, even though he knew that she did some mad shit, PDF shit, maybe lied on somebody again, allegedly. I'm not too sure, I don't know the details, please don't sue me. But a lot of that kind of casts a shadow of it. And a lot of people also say, which I'm going to read here, that although he had this lifestyle on his show, No Reservations, and the other things that he did, which I was a big fan of back in the day and still kind of rewatch from time to time, that although that show kind of like presented him one way, his actual life was so dark, so miserable, obviously, to a point where it led him to unalive himself, that you can't really look at the show as a great kind of like marvel of like modern day television and transforming the travel industry and culinary and chefs' perception and how it did, because clearly he was living in hell, you know. So there's a lot of negativity around Anthony Bourdain in general, and I really don't buy it. I don't buy it because I feel like if you are a real Anthony Bourdain head and you watched a lot of his fucking, you know, quote unquote fireside interviews, you listened to a lot of his appearances on other shows, you paid attention to what he said on the shows themselves, you would have known there was a bit of darkness there, you know. I didn't know fully to the extent. I'm still one of those people that was very much taken aback and shocked when the news was announced that he passed away. But I think if you were a real Anthony Bourdain head, you would have definitely felt or understood the pain, the darkness, or whatever he was going through at that time. It wouldn't have been new to you. But what made the show great was that he was able to kind of battle against that, even though, again, he came across, in my opinion, also kind of shy, introverted, maybe not the most outgoing, like, you know, chefy personality you've ever met, especially when it comes to a social environment. But I think that's what made the show great, because he didn't try to act like this big, gregarious, louder than life type of character. He allowed the people that he brought onto the show to be that, you know. And I think that's what made it so great. He didn't make it like, even though he was immensely cool, immensely interesting person, he didn't make the show all about him, which is very rare to do. It's probably one of the greatest skills I think Rogan had in his you know, when he was first coming up. Now not so much. Now sometimes it depends. Actually, that Russell Crowe interview, he does a really good job taking a back seat, because now, you know, it can be really difficult now, because if you've got a platform that's really big and you invite big guests on, it can sometimes give you this false sense of yourself. You can sometimes start to get gas and think, oh, because I'm really big, that must, if they're on my show, that must mean I'm as big as them. It's like, no. You have a big platform. You know what I mean? They're just using your platform because you have a big platform. Doesn't mean you're as big as them or you're as important to look, whatever. But I think Bourdain did a good job of balancing that. I'll be like, hey, this show is to highlight food around the world and the people behind it, the history, the culture, all of this malarkey. And he's told his story while telling their story and allowing them to tell their story, you know, all at the same time. I think that shit is fucking phenomenal. So I've always been a big fan of Bourdain. I don't get the hate, but I do appreciate seeing it, because it gives me a better understanding of why I like him. Because I always say that I think that's one of the reasons why I really detest like modern day political conversations and shit, because I feel like politics nowadays, especially online, unless people agree with you, they don't want to listen to you. You know, if you have an opposing view to them, they don't want to even entertain it. They have their own view. They just want to like live in silos. Whereas I feel like if you are exposed to other ideas, other points of views, those that you strongly disagree with, it should, in my opinion, strengthen what you have to say, what you believe in. It should really remind you why you are the way you are. It should sharpen your focus. It should really tighten up your reasonings to why you are the way you are and why you don't like that other side, you know. So I do welcome hearing all of these other voices of people who clearly aren't the biggest fans of Anthony Bourdain. One person said the following: what struck me about Bourdain's show was that on the surface they were thrilling. immaculate vibes, the bustling market, the jabber of the languages, the steam, the smoke rising from the pots and grills, the crack of the bottles opening. But then you'd see Bourdain sitting with the local guide, over beer, and conversations was incredibly boring and stilted. A lot of empty space and silence. His eyes would shift around and he'd swig from the bottle. Not a knock on Bourdain, that's just life. Wherever you go, there you are. Eventually the high from exotic locals wears off. The thing with Bourdain that you don't see with other similar shows is that you get to see the mundanity. They didn't hide it or hide it well. He wasn't a gregarious guy, and he wasn't the type to fill the silence with an ebullience manufactured or real. I suspect he was a fairly strong introvert, and it may have taken its toll in the end. Now, I think that's not a bad thing. I personally think that's not a bad thing. I personally think that's what made the show great. The fact that there wasn't always the need to fill the silences up with like nonsense. It wasn't like a smash and grab bang type of production style, or even way of editing the show. He let the people speak, he let the food speak, he let the environment speak. Like, that's why, for whatever reason, even though it was a very polished TV show, it felt very real, it felt very grounded, you know. It felt like what people do nowadays on YouTube, what people do nowadays on TikTok and fucking Instagram. It felt like a real show made by a real person, although it had like a big team and obviously a bit of a budget behind it and shit. But I think they did a really good job of doing that. And I felt like it allowed you to place yourself in that holiday, to place yourself in that location, to interpret how you would do something, you know? Because some shows you watch, it's hard to find a way of how you would make it work for you. But I feel like one of the reasons why, for myself in general, one of the places that he went to, Prague, I'd literally just copied and went to literally everything he went to. The first time I ever went to Prague, I literally went to whatever thing that fucking Anthony Bourdain went to. I think when he goes to the brewery, when he goes to that place where they have this like really interesting cheese sandwich thing they have in Prague, which is very popular. I think it's basically just like a square cheese that's breaded, and it's like, you know, it kind of stretches and shit. I went there to the same place, loads of different places too, and all because I was able to be like, okay, cool, I can understand where he's at, kind of get what I would like from it, and I could place myself in it. Boom, there we go, and I'm gonna go there. And I think a bunch of people did the same thing. Whereas if you put too much of your personality into something, too much of your own identity into something, it can be hard for others to kind of see themselves in it. So I think they did a good job of doing that. But the reality of it is that although most of us, when we heard the news that Bourdain passed, it was really hard to take, because a lot of us had this idea that, oh, he has the perfect job. He has the perfect job, the dream job that most of us would want, in terms of being able to travel the world, eat loads of great food, drink a bunch, meet loads of interesting great people, friends, relationships, whatever, all this stuff, right? Love and life. And but the reality of the situation is that that's what travel is like. Like, when you actually travel for real, you would know that not every day is like blockbuster. Not every day is like an amazing, you know, cinema worthy experience. Not every time you're gonna go out somewhere you're gonna have a great time. Sometimes you might go out where with a bunch of locals and have a horrible time. You know, the place that you were probably billing up as being the best place to go to for the entire trip, you go there and it ends up being a complete letdown, to a point where it might ruin your entire holiday. The person you go with, you might not end up having a good time with, even though you had all the best intentions. Loads of things happen. It's never certain how you're going to enjoy it. So just because you're on holiday doesn't mean you're gonna have a great time. Things happen in life, things change. So I think Anthony Bourdain's No Reservations was a great, I think, snapshot into what it's actually like to travel. What it's actually like to travel to different parts of the world, to experience different types of cultures. Sometimes the cultures are not maybe your favorite, you know, you didn't know that until you went there. There are some places like that. Unless you're one of those people that do like excessive amounts of research. I think even if you do excessive amounts of research, the human element of traveling just doesn't allow you to not have a time where you might not have a good time. It's just going to happen. One way or another, you're going to bump into situations where you're not going to have the greatest of times. And I think Bourdain's dullness or whatever kind of brought that up. And I think what this person said about the exoticness of locals wears off. I don't know. I don't know if you ever should go to anywhere. I don't know if you should in general be going to any place around the world hoping that the exotic nature of the locals is going to make the trip. You know, you should be going because you want to make the trip. You know, you want to make the trip something worth remembering, something worth doing. And whoever kind of, you know, happens to cross your paths, happens to, you know, bump into you along the way, cool. But it shouldn't be about, oh my god, I can't wait to go and see all these fun people in XYZ place. You know, it doesn't work that way. I don't know. I think you're setting yourself up for I think you're setting yourself up for failure if you've got that kind of way of thinking, personally. But again, what do I know? But this person had some praise though. This person had some praise. Let's hear this person. This person says as follows: a lot of people love to pile on Bourdain, and I don't get it. He was a talented writer, a successful chef, and found himself in a series of incredible opportunities in the media industry and took them as anyone would. His wife treated him like a dog, cheated on him, he went nuts and unalived himself, a story one could find in all strata of societies. Rich, poor, liberal, conservative, working class, white collar. This is a thing that happens to all sorts of people. It's tragic in every case. I think Bourdain's haters want there to have been some kind of catch or gotcha to his lifestyle. The man lived an illustrious life in a manner that would have been readily available to history's great men. He had the je ne sais quoi of old world explorers. He was a Manhattan guy, a dynamic man, literally getting paid to travel the world. This is obviously jealousy induced, and the goblin tier slouches of the world love to see an interesting man falter, suffer, and meet his demise as a kind of punishment for living well. They crave the punishment of the interesting man because it validates their mediocrity of their own lives. And so Bourdain's unaliving was a kind of colossal event for a lot of the world's saddest, most pedestrian men. A lurid way to watch the guy they were jealous of get his comeuppance. Very telling to see people pile on Bourdain, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know. I get both sides. I get it if you're the person that thinks sometimes the lionization of Bourdain is a bit excessive because of how his life ended. You know, especially because people used his lifestyle, or in an effort to praise Bourdain, people will use his lifestyle as one of the main reasons. Oh my god, look at what he did, look at how he lived his life, free, could do what he wanted, travel the world, he got paid to eat all the great places, travel to the but then some people that don't like him will say, but yeah, but look at the flip side. That same lifestyle is what led him to some maybe questionable life choices, questionable relationship choices, you know, and he, for all the, you know, for however smart people may have thought he was, or for however maybe street smart, worldly, clocked in, whatever, clued up he wasn't able to see that the person right next to him was probably his biggest op. You know, probably his worst enemy. The war, maybe one of the worst ever, and that's maybe the tragedy of life, you know? The person that he fell in love with, because he spoke really highly, I forgot the lady's name, but he spoke really highly of her, because I think she was involved in fucking Epstein too, if I'm not mistaken. But he spoke really highly of her. So she was both his love of his life at that time of his life, but also one of the worst things that ever happened to him. Because there's no doubt, you know, that what he went through with her and just generally his life definitely led to him deciding to not want to be around anymore. Which again, still to this day, one of the worst news, celebrity death news to come in the wake, because I think it's one of those I think that was one of those bits of celebrity passing or news where I only found out at the end of the day, like towards, like, because I hadn't been on social, no one at my workplace spoke about it or something, and I think I kind of like found out, like literally browsing my feed on the way home. Like that hurt, man. That fucking hurt. So R.I.P. Anthony Bourdain, R.I.P. to the great Anthony Bourdain. Gone but not forgotten. Gone but not forgotten. Gone but not forgotten. What are you guys saying here in the stream chat about this? Big up on 10 Toes. How recent is this? Shows his take for them was so sad. I don't know what you saying. How recent is this? I think are you saying this about Anthony Bourdain, Emmanuel dos Santos? This is a conversation that's been ongoing for an age. I think maybe the last 2 years or something. I've been seeing off and on regurgitation of this conversation. Not just sure if this is in part due to, I think there's meant to be, isn't there meant to be like a biopic? Something's happened recently with the estate of Anthony Bourdain. Maybe there's a biopic or a book. Something's happened recently. I don't know what it was, but whatever happened, people have been reacting to the news. And I guess one of the conversation pieces to come out of it was, oh, is Anthony Bourdain as cool as people remember him to be? Was the show really that good? The way that he died, did it tarnish his legacy? It's been one of those conversations. It's been ongoing. Big up on 10 toes. Damn, I ain't even seen this on Twitter. And big up the guy writes a novella comment, and gets the girlfriend wife facts wrong. She was his girlfriend. Yeah, true. Oh yeah, true. They weren't actually married, were they? They were close to anyway, but they weren't get married at the time of his passing. That's the most important thing. So big up E Zanella. Big up E Zanella. Okay, cool. Let's move on quickly. So Yonti, yeah, big up Yonti. So have I spoken quite a lot about this topic? And I think, you know, I'm a bit bored of it myself, I'm not gonna lie, but still, let's continue. So as most of you know, there's been this ongoing kind of mad it feels like a movement against some DJs of Israeli descent who may or may not have served in the IDF. I think the serving in the IDF is the most important thing anyway in the past. And they've been getting essentially pressured by some of these pages like Rebels for Palestine to basically get out the scene. People are not really happy with the fact that they have any type of history with the IDF, even if it means that they renounce it. They don't give a fuck. They want them out. And it seems like the latest victim is another member of the Roy Perez / Partok family, and that's Yonti, who, if I'm not mistaken, maybe, if I'm judging from the picture, Roy Perez's boyfriend. I'm pretty sure they're together. I'm pretty sure they are. So this is funny because I was thinking at the time when this whole anti, Israeli DJ thing was happening, especially, off the back of the unfortunate shit that's happening in the Palestine now, that I was wondering how long it would take before they got to these guys, because I thought these guys, they weren't that, I'd never felt like they went out their way to hide that they were Israeli or to kind of downplay the fact that they may have served in the IDF. If anything, I felt like they did a good job online anyway, at least, to try and say, hey, we may be Israeli, but we don't agree what's going on in Palestine at the moment. It's a genocide, free Palestine. We want a ceasefire. We want an end to all of this. And we want to make sure that both people, queer people from both sides, or in Israel and Palestine, are safe. That's the feeling I got from these guys. Again, just looking from them from the outside in, not knowing too much about them, but kind of understanding that they're a collective. There's another guy too involved in them. I forgot the guy's name. There's another dude also involved. I think it's a bit more of a chubbier face. And they put on parties. Sometimes I'd see something about money being sent to a charity. I don't know, but it didn't seem like they were overly, down with the Zionism thing. It didn't seem like that for me. It didn't seem like they were flying their fucking, Israeli flag high and proud. It didn't seem like they were really gloating about their time served in the IDF. It seemed like they were trying their best to make the best of a bad situation, and try to remind people that, hey, I may be from there, but I'm not of there, type of thing. And obviously the first person to go down of the group, courtesy of the Ravens for Palestine, was Roy Perez, maybe because he's the biggest name. And then obviously the other day it was Partok, and now it's Roy Perez's boyfriend Yonti who's also going down, it seems like, because out of nowhere he decided to post this on his Instagram. And the post he made was regarding some comments people have been saying, I guess, regarding his history and shit. So I want to see what he said here. So he says, following the recent online events with concerns raised in the community about Israeli artists, ideologies and politics, I would like to share my stance and some context about my past. So I'm not too sure if this is in relation to something that Ravens of Palestine said, or if he thought to get in front of it before they did eventually come, because they're probably going to come to him anyway. I think, like I said previously, I think Dr. Rubenstein is definitely next. She definitely is someone that I think they're going to be putting their eyes on, but she's been, kind of dancing away from all of this and not really been saying much, which I wonder how that's probably going down with Roy Perez, because I think they were quite close at one point. I remember seeing them play at Mixed Garage as a duo, as like a back-to-back duo. They don't play that often anymore, I don't think, so I wonder if that's maybe in part the reason why. But anyway, this is Yonti saying what he's going to say. Let's read the slides. I grew up in Haifa, a city of Oh my god, honestly, I'm so happy I don't have to do this ever in life. Like, honestly, I'm so happy I don't have to do this. This groveling, this like pleading with like an anonymous. Imagine an anonymous Instagram page is bullying you. You know, like, I could never let that happen. I just would never have it. Like, even if I was not guilty of what they're saying, like, I'm not gonna sit here and start like giving you my life story, pleading with you to like not cancel me so I could DJ. And it's like, oh, this is just, the groveling is just next level, bro. I grew up in Haifa, a city of diverse demographic. It's okay. Anyway, let's just continue. Diverse, my god. In a family that encouraged independent thinking and moral awareness, that environment led me to refuse military service. Oh, big up him. So he actually didn't serve me. He actually didn't serve. Refusal was far from being simple. Shit, I thought that was like you had to. It was like mandatory. If you don't, you go to prison or some shit. Fucking hell. The social pressure to serve surrounds you from childhood. You are conditioned to believe that not serving will isolate you, mark you as a traitor, and close doors on your future. At 17, I felt forced to claim a severe mental health crisis and say that the conscription would push me towards self-harm, because a moral objection alone is criminalized and punished by imprisonment. This path is not available to everybody, and I don't take it granted and support the safety that allowed me to take it. Okay, so he didn't end up serving because he claimed mental health. Cool. The rationale behind my decision back then came from the same core beliefs that guide me today. I oppose militarism. I reject all forms of nationalism, including Zionism. I reject the systems that dehumanize, separate, or dominate people based on identity. I am against the ongoing genocide, displacement, and systemic oppression of Palestinian people. It's like a song, isn't it? Like, I have always voiced these stances publicly. At 18, I tattooed. I think that's something in Arabic, right? No borders, or something in Hebrew. I'm assuming Hebrew, not Arabic. Hebrew, probably. Apologies. No borders. It says there. Oh, it says Arabic. Okay, I knew it. I knew I was right. Visibly on my hand, and decoration of the world I believe in, one without separation and domination. In 2020, I became a co-owner of Fee Garden Club in Tel Aviv. That's like a nice club, by the way. Don't tell me he renounced his fucking ownership of that club. That club was fucking gorgeous. For me, Fee was never just a club. It was an attempt to create a shared space where Palestinians and Israelis, especially queer and marginalized people, could connect, speak, dance, and build community beyond segregating narratives state. Segregating narratives of the state, sorry. We platformed Palestinian artists and collectives, employed queer Palestinian staff, made room for conversations and connections that our surroundings constantly tried to prevent. It was imperfect because it existed in an impossible reality, but it was built with true care and intention. So basically, I've got black friends. I cannot be racist. Please don't take my DJ career. Oh my God, man, this is such an awful way to live. To this day, it's the only nightlife business in Tel Aviv that was vocal against the occupation, organized fundraisers for Palestinians, and displayed the Palestinian flag publicly, even when doing so carried risk. After October 7, I left my co-ownership position at Fee Garden, yet continued to host events and DJ there. What does that even mean then? Honestly, all this performative stuff is so nonsense, because when the chips fall, when the dust fucking settles, no one's gonna be here. Like, I just don't get it. I just don't get this stuff. I don't, like, why renounce your ownership of the club if you're just gonna stay there and do events anyway? If you're gonna renounce your position, you might as well just not do anything there and make that as your stance. Okay, I'm against what's happening in fucking whatever. And also, it doesn't even make any sense after October 7th. So after October 7th, which is the Hamas attack at the fucking music festival, right? That's when he decided to, it's like again, when you try and play these games or you're trying to appease people, you just end up looking a bit mad, innit? But I guess at the time he thought that was a good thing to do. Playing at Fee felt like contributing to something important. Over time, I realized doing so exists even within a larger reality where this work disrupts the cultural boycott. again, this cultural boycott is not mandatory, man. This is not like conscription. This is just something somebody created in their mind. Hey, cultural boycott. This is not, you don't have to do this. Like, this is just a nonsense, really. There are other ways that you can protest, that you can stand up against or do something to kind of help, maybe in some way, shape or form, end the violence over there in Palestine or end the genocide over there. But I don't, they're acting as if the cultural boycott is like a thing that everyone is observing, and it's not. It's not a bad thing that's not happening, but it's just, I don't know, I just don't get what's going on right now. I think this is just a madness all over the shop. It's all, as I am talking all over the shop, this is all over the shop. I admit I was stubborn, he says here, and it took me long time to recognize my role in the normalization of the apartheid system that I strongly oppose. What are you, like, shut up. What are you normalizing? You were from a place. You tried to do your best with the resources that were available at your hands. It didn't quite work out. Like, you're not normalizing anything. Like, like, this whole thing, they're making themselves like what? So you're both not responsible, but then super responsible. Okay. Let's continue. I want to be clear. Even though I acted from sincere intentions, I recognize the intentions do not erase the impact. I acknowledge that by participating in the Tel Aviv nightlife scene, I contribute to a system that the boycott seeks to challenge, and I'm deeply sorry for any harm my actions cause. I am no longer performing in Israel. I cut all my professional and financial ties with the country, and I fully support the cultural boycott. I don't know about all this. I know firsthand how difficult and close to impossible it is to fully recognize your contribution to the system, even as somebody who grew up in a family and environment that encouraged questioning authority and resisting militarism. The narratives we are raised with run so deep that it takes years to unlearn them. I'm still unlearning. I hope that by sharing this, I will help others who are going through the same process. Lastly, it's important to say accountability and pressure matter, but purity-driven identity politics that alienate people who generally want to support the struggle are harmful and counterproductive. Real change comes from dialogue, compassion, and creating space for growth. Yeah, but also real change doesn't come from tucking your tail, innit? Real change doesn't come from, I don't know, pleading with an anonymous Instagram page not to take away your career that they can't take away anyway in the first place. It's just a whole nonsense, man. All of this is a whole nonsense. It's so pathetic. Honestly, it really is. Like, Raves of Palestine, I get they've got good intentions. I really do think they have. But I think the way that they're going about things, the way that they're bullying these men is a bit mad. I'm not gonna lie, man. The bullying of these guys is fucking crazy. Honestly, I just don't understand how they're accepting this. So I don't know if this is in part due to this flyer that they put out recently, right? Where they're saying to people, hey, boycott laundrette. We urgently call for our community in South London to boycott laundrette party happening this Friday. Oh, it happened already. It went past. Okay, my bad. I didn't even know. It passed. Happened on Friday, November 7th in Corsica as a community members. So this party already happened. I completely forgot, you know. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't have been able to go because I think I was iller than ill, so that wouldn't have happened anyway. But let me see. Do they have any pictures of what happened or what went down? Let's see. Okay, no pictures from him about it. Don't they have like a page for it? Laundrette wet. Let's see, anything. Okay, cool. No pictures or anything of it. So I'm guessing it happened. It must have happened, but we just don't know when. But it's going to happen also in Lisbon and everything else in between. So, I don't know, man. I think Raisers of Palestine, again, like I always say, they have good intentions. I think, as most of us would have seen and heard, their hearts are definitely in the right place. But I just don't like the way that they're going about making people feel like they're bullied into saying X, Y, and Z. And renouncing their fucking backgrounds and shit and where they're born. Like, it's just, I just don't get all of it. I just don't get it. I really fucking don't get where this is meant to be going. I don't get the use of it. It all feels kind of weird to me, man. It all feels kind of weird to me. But hey, what do I know? What do I know? Not that much. Not that much. Talking about not knowing that much. Talking about not knowing that much. Let's actually talk about something that I do know about. Big up blood clot Berghain. Berghain just released their December 2025 lineup and program, and I'm very interested in this because this will be the time that I'll be attending a couple of events. So I'm curious to see who they have listed for the December lineup. Now, just taking a quick little browse. It's not the most stacked lineup in the world. It's kind of light. But I do like this because it means usually they're booking a lot of residents, a lot of locals, a lot of friends and family of friends, lovers of friends, bloody, bloody, blah, blah, blah. So it makes for a far better, I think, lineups. In terms of interesting mixes of people. I think also on the dance floor will be the same thing too, because it'll be very, 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 very cold out there in Berlin. So I think the people who are deciding to leave their humble abode to travel over to Berlin for Berghain are going so because they really love what they're, what it's about. They're not there for the hype thing. There is no hype lineup, maybe apart from maybe the birthday one. So if you're going there, you're going there for the right intentions. Different intentions maybe from people that go during the peak summer times and stuff, but still I think if you haven't been, I think this is usually one of the best times I think to go. I'm not gonna lie. I think going anytime between November to like April might be one of the more interesting times to go to Berlin. Flat out forget fucking just going to Berghain, because you just get different types of people. There are a lot of people from there that decide to leave Berlin during the winter time because it's really cold. So people tend to go and have Christmas in like a really sunnier place, like, I don't know, parts of South America, Central America, maybe parts of Asia and shit. But for the most part, I've had some of my more memorable moments out there during these months. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they have for us. Let's go through it. So December 2025 lineup goes as follows. Thursday the 4th of December, the first night, we have a Terranor night in Seoul, featuring Anna Mallow, Grigor playing, someone called Oka, Siok and Vel. The following night we have a limousine Dream label night happening. We have a Panorama Bar room only open with DJ Sweet 16, Fafi Abdel Noir, Genie on Earth, Grace Sands, Moxie and Peach. Just as an observation, right? Again, I don't really know much about Sweet 16, but I wonder what her DMs look like. I wonder what her comments look like. I wonder what she gets like just in life in general. Because I feel like that name, and isn't she like a blonde girl or something? Blonde, right? That name and shit. She must get like. It must be kind of hard to navigate around the scene if you're her, in it. Not again, it doesn't matter. She shouldn't be the case. To get me wrong, it's not like she's putting out a lot on, she's not like she's not like jumping around in really tight tops on here. But still, it must be hot. Well, again, not jumping around in tight tops, but there we go. So I wonder, is it easy to navigate if you're DJ 316 out there in the scene with how guys are and stuff? Or some guys are, not all of us, hey, but still, is it hard to navigate as a dude out there? Do you not really give a fuck? Like, I wonder how she does it, because I'm sure some guys see that name and they just get excited, Sweet 16, they see this blonde girl and they think, yeah, man, this is me. But I don't know. To be fair, her DJ name doesn't really match her aesthetic at all. She seems kind of chill. She's got a fella, traveling around the world, having good food, chilling out. Oh, look at that guy on the fucking hoverboard. So maybe it's not as bad as I would think it would be. Maybe it's not that bad. So big up her anyway. C16's playing. Limousine Dream Night. That's actually a really good night, to be fair. That's actually a very cute night, very sexy night. Loads of good vibes on that one. So that's actually a standout. I'm going to put that as a standout already. The following Saturday, which is the 6th, so this first weekend of December, you've got a club night happening, a regular club night. You've got Tobias by Main Room Live, Andy Martin, Clarissa Kimsky, Dakota, DJ Rush, Kangding Ray, Miss Kitten playing, which I love. Renee Wise, I'm a big fan of him. Big up him always. Panorama Bar Room, you got Shez Damier, Cormac, Gono, Richard Ake Penguin, Salehe Fadasi, Shindowi, Soundstream, the legend. So it's a very, very good night. Who I'm surprised who they don't, just thinking about it now. Berghain community Reddit don't like some of these lineups and complain that they're a bit samey, but I don't really hear them mention or complain about Soundstream. He seems to always have a booking or two in him when it comes to Berghain, regardless of people like him or not. But people don't really seem to cry or complain about Soundstream. So, and I've only seen him play once. I'm not gonna lie, in Panorama Bar. I'm not seeing him play too many. Not some of the nights I've been to, he hasn't played. He has been on the lineup, but for somebody that plays often, he doesn't seem to get a lot of hate on the subreddit, which is a good thing, I guess, isn't it, in some respects. But that's a strong opening weekend. I'm not gonna lie. You got Terry No Night, Limousine Dream Night, and a regular club night on that opening weekend. Not bad on the first weekend of the month. The following week you got 11th on the Thursday. You got Weirdos Night, Ilya Kula, Inyo, Gale, LOL Snake, Skungal, and someone called Vinbar. Friday you've got Time Passages, DJ Salas, Bin, DJ Masada, Helena Hauff playing on the Friday. Helena Hauff on a Panorama Bar. Inject that into my veins. Bin and Panorama Bar. Come on, bro. And then this is allegedly the party, because I didn't know what this meant. Gerber Stags. Was it Gerbert Stags? I had no idea what this meant, but I'm pretty sure this means birthday. Yeah, Gerbert Stags. How the hell do you pronounce that? Gerbert Stags. Huh? How do you pronounce that? Let's see. Pronounce. Gerbert Stags.
Welcome to How to Pronounce. In today's video, we'll be focusing on a new word that you might find challenging or intriguing.
How do you say it?
So without further ado, let's dive into today's word.
Which is?
Geburtstag.
Which means Geburtstag. So it's not Gerbertstag, it's not Geburtstag, it's Geburtstag.
Means the day on which one is born.
Geburtstag.
Let's say it all together.
Geburtstag.
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 Now let's split the word into syllables and then pronounce each syllable one by one.
Geburtstag.
Thank you for joining us on this adventure.
Geburtstag.
Geburtstag.
Okay, Geburtstag. I've never, honestly, in all my life, I've never heard of that word. The German language is so interesting, isn't it? I've never heard of that word. Whenever they talk about Berlin or Berghain birthdays and shit, anniversaries, don't they usually just say like Sylvester or something? I swear I've never heard of that name. Anyway, regardless, doesn't matter. That's the birthday, Geburtstag, and it's on the 13th of December. So in case you're wondering, it's on the 13th of December is a Berghain birthday. And for that night, for that weekend, or for that Saturday, who they got? Voices from the Lake in Berghain main room. Ben Clock, of course, DJ Maria. She's now literally a resident. Big up DJ Maria. They literally plucked her out from nowhere. She had like 1,000 followers last time when she first get booked on fucking Berghain. I remember checking her out and stuff on here, and she had like 1,000 followers or something like that, or 2,000. Now she's like crazy huge. So big up DJ Maria. I fucking love it. So yeah, she's gone from strength to strength on that regard. You got Elissa B, Fadi Mohem, of course, team there. Jacko team there. Speedy J, Sterak. In Panorama Bar, you've got Matthew Johnson playing live. Croissant Rebels ting, that's gonna be a vibe. Ash Lauren, big up her. You got playing, Galagos playing, Gerd Jansen playing, one of my faves, and Bowmaker playing, Paramida playing, Stacey Hotwax Howe playing. Like, that's a decent lineup, man. Again, it's not like crazy birthday vibes, no, like they're crazy, but it's still a really good lineup. It's still a really good lineup for the Geburtstag. Yeah, so check out the Geburtstag on the for that particular, okay, hold on, I'm about to say, okay, and then the Thursday the following week, which is the 18th, you got Space Tracks, Alan Backdrop, Frank Heiss, Mademoiselle, Philippa Dura playing. Friday you got Jack Your Body Night happening, Honey Dijon, Julia X, Luke Solomon. The Saturday on the 20th or the 12th, you've got Beatrice, Chamey, Dustin Zan, Marina, Measure Divide, Olivia Mendes, Sevda, Stoish. By the way, what's a Measure Divide? I like that name, Measure Divide. Who's Measure Divide? Who are you, Measure Divide? I really like that name. Measure Divide is a musical artist. Where's he from? Karachi born, Toronto based. Big up Measure Divide. Sounds like a sick name. What does my man do? Measure Divide. What do you do, bro? What do you do? Let me hear your sound still. Is there any videos here or no? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he's sick. Big up Measure Divide. You're sick. But look how far away you could have known that he was playing in fucking Berghain. He knew this date from when? He knew this date in, what day? October 20th, he already knew he was playing there. He already knew. So they must book this. If they show us a month in advance, they probably book this 2 months in advance, isn't it? Mad, isn't it? Because he already listed, look, he didn't say where, TBA obviously, but he already listed on the 20th of the 12th he'll be playing in Germany. So this is definitely that date he's doing in Berghain. Fucking hell. So they book these things so far in advance, isn't it? Big up the Berghain team. That must be hard to do. Let's see another slide of his. It seems hard. Yeah, he's gonna kill it. Big up Measure Divide. He's gonna fucking kill it. Big up. Alright, cool. So a couple more. We got Finest Xmas, which is the Christmas obviously party. They've got only Panorama Bar open on Christmas, or the day after Christmas. You got Fiedel playing, Natalie Sears, Orasi, and someone called Stella Zerksky or Zerky. Zekri, Stella Zekri, my bad, Zersky, Stella Zekri, Fiedel, Natalie Sears, Orasi, Stella Zekri playing on the 26th, and the 27th are pretty light, isn't it? Not that many dates there. On the 27th, which is the following day, and I guess it's the last day before the New Year's lineup, which we haven't got that one yet. I wonder if they're gonna put that out later. I think so. I guess I'll put that later, the New Year's dates and shit, because that's usually they usually like doing fucking the 4-3 days thing, innit? So yeah, we'll get that later. So the 27th, you got a regular night happening there, of course. Berghain main room, you got Annika Kunst, Denise Rab, Ignes, Camelia, Chris, Kyle Geiger, Vincent Newman. In Panorama Bar, you got Alinica, big up her, big fan. Cheetah, Chloe, Franziska Burns, Radio Slave Ledge, big up him. Rec Kids always put out great shit. And Tao Frustman as well, always fucking big boy producer too. Not seen him DJ ever, but like his productions. But yeah, really good lineup, I think. You know, nothing too crazy in terms of like big stars and shit and whatnot and massive names or with big pool that are going to get people going crazy. But I think if you're around, if you happen to be in the fucking city, I think you would be remiss to check out any of these lineups. And most likely, again, it's not probably the wisest thing to say because there is no such thing, but if you're looking for an easier time to get in, this probably might be the easiest one this month. In terms of the lack of big names, will make sure that they won't be as busy as it usually is. And the fact that it's super cold will also make sure it's not busy as it usually is. And I think as well, again, I have nothing to back this up, but I think as well, bouncers are usually somewhat more lenient with terms of allowing people to come in. So I think if ever there was a time where you could change your luck and turn your luck in terms of getting in, I think December is it. If you've never been or if you've always been bounced, I think one month that you may get lucky might be December. So definitely go and give it a go. Definitely go give it a go. It's fucking an amazing club. Like I said, took your time. I've always had a great time in there. Every time I've gone, I've always had a fucking great time in there. So make sure you check it out if you can. Make sure you check it out if you can. And of course, to end this illustrious show, I needed to give you guys an update and a little show on what I've got recently the other day. Big up Salehe Bembury. Big up Blood Class Salehe Bembury for sending me a pair of Spunge Osmosis, which I've spoken about at length, I think, on this pod over the last few months. I felt like ever since it's been kind of announced and shit. I've spoken a lot about his stuff in general, I think, on here, and I really do have to tip my hat to the guy for being normal. Right? For being normal, for being fucking normal. Some of the stuff that he's done, I've spoken about it on here and I've said how I'm not a fan of. Some of the stuff that he's done, I've spoken about how I'm not a fan of it and then changed my mind on it. Some stuff I've done, I've spoken about how much I've loved it, you know, just general, because he's a designer, he makes a bunch of stuff. Sometimes it's going to be great, sometimes it's not going to be great, but again, it's my own personal opinion. It doesn't necessarily mean everything everyone else agrees, and judging by the way most of his stuff fucking sells out anyway, my little opinion doesn't really do much in terms of swaying the general public. Most people love everything that he does. So I've got to give him a lot of props, because unfortunately, when you do this sort of stuff and you have your opinion on things in culture, if maybe you don't glaze everything, some people can maybe think that you're not a fan, or some people can maybe have a wrong opinion of you. And it's good to hear, or good to see, at least anyway, that he doesn't really think that deeply about those type of things. You know, as long as you've got an opinion, as long as I guess you're somewhat passionate about what you do, he's going to appreciate it. So I do appreciate him sending out these pairs to me to wear, which were these Osmosis Spunge, his new independent shoe brand that he launched. Instead of going and working for Nike and Adidas and New Balance and Asics, Diodora, Mizuno, Umbro, all these brands you could probably gonna do for, and just designing retros and shit, he decided to try his hat at designing his own shoe from the ground up, which you have to appreciate. I think, especially nowadays, given how fucking boring the industry is and the prevalence and the over-reliance sometimes on retros, I think he has to be given a lot of credit for trying to do his own thing. In the same way John Geiger will always get maximum level of respect for me for trying to push the envelope, pushing it when it comes to silhouettes and colorways and material applications and all this malarkey and styles, and just trying to give the consumer something different from what they usually get from all the big major brands. Because what's the point, you know? If you're gonna put out a sneaker, it should be different from what's out there already. If you're just gonna make your spin on an Air Max 1, if you're just gonna make your spin on the fucking Jordan 1 or Jordan 4 or whatever, you might as well just stop. You know what I mean? The fact that they're doing something different, I think, is amazing. So Salehe Bembury made his own shoe company. It's called Spunge. The first model in, I guess, the long running roster, I'm hoping, of models is this model called the Osmosis. As you can see, it's called the Osmosis. It's called the Osmosis. It's a lot lighter than what I expected it to be. I'm not gonna lie. I did have a feeling it was going to be bulky, which I'm happy it still is. It's not got this like fake bulk about it. It's definitely very robust, very bulky. It feels really, really high quality. There's something you always have to give him credit for. I'm not really too sure on the particularities of maybe who he might have partnered up with behind the scenes to make these happen. If it's all fully independently done, then props. you know, infinitely. Even if it's partnered up still, the quality is fucking superb. I still got to compliment the quality. The quality on it is really fucking good. There's really minimal glue stains on here on the toe box. The materials feel really nice to the touch. The construction is solid as fuck. And the colors pop really, really well in real life. You can't really see it here because I'm just showing it to you on my MacBook fucking webcam. So you can't really see it too tough, but the colors pop really well, especially on the tongue. I was surprised by how much the colors really, 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 really pop off. One thing I really liked, little, you know, maybe a little bit of a head detail on here, is the tips of the laces. They've got this really nice, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like a rubber, it kind of like a rubberized feel. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like CCP, you know, a little bit. It's a little bit of that. So it's kind of like it's like a rubberized waxy type of a tip, which really helps because when you are removing or putting out in the laces, the lace eyelets are really small. They're really tight, and you can sometimes feel a bit scared that if you pull it too much, it's going to make the end of the laces or that bit fray, but it doesn't. It kind of, I don't know, it's a really interesting mechanism. I wonder if that's designed on purpose that way. It kind of doesn't fray because it's kind of like this rubberized thing. It's kind of an interesting design anyway. I've not seen this before. Usually it's always kind of plastic. The end of the tips, it's usually plastic, or maybe they put metal or some sort of metal on the end of it, but this is like a rubber sort of design. So this is a really cool design there. Of course, I love the little addition of the logo on the heel tab there, which I noticed when I was putting them on. I obviously relaced them the normal way. So as you can see there, as sneakers you're meant to do, you're meant to relace them that way. This is the left shoe. So the laces on top go that way, right? No, the laces on top go that way. Yeah, no, that way. And then what else I really liked? I really liked, of course, the little pop. The only nitpick I would say, I would have preferred it if the pop, you know, the color, you see the color of the mesh on the green here. I would have loved it if it was more vibrant on the little pop of this little holes at the back here that kind of show you where that kind of give you a little sneak peek of the what's the design called, the squish tech. So you got, I guess the squish technology is in this heel. So this is where all your bounce and your whatever comfort comes from. But you get to see it. It's sort of like his version of an air bubble. You get to see the airs, right? With all these little holes. I just wish the green was maybe it's just the fact that it's a material. If the pigment was a bit brighter, so it popped off a bit more on the inside. But still, I really love that little detail there. And obviously you can see the kind of holes are sealed up at the front here of the toe box. And then towards the end, they kind of open up little by little until they become a little bit more big and substantial, until they come out the back like that. The tread outsole as well is really substantial, which I really like too. It kind of does a good job because instead of it just being like a really thick midsole, all the parts add to the thickness of the shoe, you know, if that makes any sense. So you've got this, and even this is kind of like, I wouldn't say it's a little bit deceptive because this doesn't, your foot doesn't sit on the top of this, you know. It's kind of like I wouldn't say a vulcanized shoe, but similar in that way that your foot kind of sits a little bit inside, and then this obviously protrudes up, so it makes it look like your foot is a bit up above there, but you still get an extra inch or two because these little bits here, you know, these little extra bits on the outsole, which are really well done. Again, no funny smell for the most part, you know, which I really love, which is not really common a lot with a lot of fucking shoes, let me tell you that. And this material here, is that a sponge as well? I'm assuming that is, right? The little tab here on the side. I'm assuming it's a sponge material. It kind of feels like it. That's a really nice detail as well. And of course, you got the sponge iconography here, which again is like a rubberite, like what's it, screen printed or whatever on top, so it doesn't kind of chip away too easily. And yeah, I love them. I love them. The only thing I was wrong about when I was talking about them, there is no elastic on either side of the tongue. It's just like a free moving tongue here. And obviously, if you want to keep it in one position, you've got the eyelets here. You can kind of slit your laces in, which I don't never do. But there is no elastic on either side, which I prefer personally. I prefer no elastic on either side. I've worn them already around the house and stuff, and they feel really comfy. I went for a US 12, which is a UK 11 in these, and they come up really, really nice. No, not super tight, My toes got loads of nice wiggle room here on the front. I really like these little balls as well, to show you the little green mesh here on the front as well. And I'm really loving them. I can't wait to wear them. I'm probably going to take them with me to Berlin, I'm not going to lie, and use them as my kind of daily walking shoes, and probably put a little good review on how they look and how they feel when I wear them that way. And if you look really closely on the outsole too, you can't really see them here because again this is webcam I'm showing you, but if you look really closer, you'll notice on the outsole there's little fingerprint patterns, like his kind of like logo, you know, his staple, his pattern that he's that we all know Salehe Bembury for, that you see on all these other shoes. So that's a really nice little detail tie in there, in case you weren't aware that this is a shoe made by him. He's got, if you look really close up there, you'll see on the black, on the out tread basically, right, on the outsole, you'll see loads of little fingerprint little signs on some of these bits here at the top, which I really like. And I'm sure maybe if you look at that tread there, maybe it's got some fingerprint iconography, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I love them. I love them. Can't wait to see what else he does with the shoe. I'm not too sure what the other models will end up. I'm sure there's more models coming. I wonder if this is going to end up being a mid, will this end up being a high, will he just stick to having this one model and just switch to other styles? I wonder what he's going to do going forward. Will there be clothing? I'm not too sure, but I guess we'll see what happens going forward. But so far, really happy with my Spunge Osmosis. Really happy with my Spunge Osmosis. Big up fucking Salehe Bembury. Really appreciate him sending them to me. He didn't have to, but I really appreciate that he did take the time to do so, because I'm sure he's very busy promoting and doing what he's doing for the shoe. So big up Salehe Bembury. Big up blood clot Salehe Bembury. Okay, people, that's been the Excellent Zinger Show, episode number 965. It's been a pleasure to have your company. Thank you for tuning in. If it's your first time tuning in, thank you for tuning in. If it's your first time tuning in, for those of you watching via the live stream, thank you. I know it's been a while. I'll see you guys soon, don't worry. For those of you listening to the YouTube, listening via the audio side of things, sorry, you'll be hearing my tune of the day playing for you live. If you're listening to the audio side of things, you'll hear my tune of the day, which is from a group called She's in Parties, a band called She's in Parties, and the song is called Runaway. The song is called Runaway by the band called She's in Parties. That's my song of the day, playing underneath my voice. Those of you watching via the YouTube side of things, you shall be seeing me in about 10 minutes or so. I'm going to be doing the random show, so make sure you are there. Probably give me half an hour. Let's not say 10. Probably give me half an hour. I'll be there, and we'll jump over and do some random show goodness as well for those of you who've not been around. But thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to have your company, and I'll see you guys again very soon. The Excellent Zinger Show, episode number 965. We are out. Peace.